Hi, hello everyone. I'm Caroline Zakarian. I work for the Office of the Civics and Community Services here at the Los Angeles Public Library. Welcome to today's presentation on the VITA program and how to file taxes online. Today's program is a third in an ongoing series of programs in support of financial literacy, and it's brought to you by CSULA and CSUN VITA and LAPL. Today, Professor John Cooper from CSULA and Darlena Tren from CSUN will talk about how they are conducting services during the pandemic and the ins and outs of how to file taxes online. Please send us your questions throughout the program, and I will come back at the end for a brief Q&A. So here's Professor Cooper and Darlena. Take it away, guys.
Inviting us to do this presentation. As you know, this is a pretty challenging year, and so we've had to make some changes in the way VITA is presented this year, and that's what we're going to discuss with you today. So first of all, for those of you that aren't familiar with VITA, you might want to take a look at it. It's really a pretty exciting program. It's the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, and what VITA does is offer free tax preparation services. Yes, free, which is kind of a big deal. And it's done in a partnership with the Internal Revenue Service. So the returns that are prepared by IRS certified volunteers. So I'm from Cal State Los Angeles, and we have Northridge here represented as well. And everyone that works on the tax returns is certified by the IRS. They go through training process and take exams. And once they pass those, they're allowed to work on the returns. So we do have some general targets that we use for whose returns we will prepare. And you probably aren't surprised that we target lower income and other types of individuals that fall into that category. But we do exceed these ranges. So the 95% of the returns we do, the tax return shows less than $57,000 of income on it. And I don't want to dissuade anyone with more income on than that, because we do those too. So you want to keep listening and look at what's offered here, because we definitely do returns that have more income than that. We also take care of returns for persons that have disabilities and limited or even no English-speaking taxpayers. We can help with you. And I'll talk about what languages we have at Cal State Los Angeles, but I was even surprised at how many languages we can cover. So it's a great program. Like I said, it's in partnership with the Internal Revenue Service. And every return, just to give you a little more comfort on this, is prepared by a certified volunteer and then reviewed. And we have lots of checklists and things that we go through to make sure the return is accurate. And well, one of the last checks off, I guess it is the last check off, is that you get to review your own return. You can look at it, and once you tell us that it's accurate, then you sign a form that tells us it is okay to e-file, and we e-file both the federal return and the state return. So you'll take care of all of your tax filing requirements in this one step. So we have what's called in-scope tax returns, because we do training on the kind of the average returns that we see. And so some things we're not trained for and we leave those out. But I think you'll find that we cover pretty much everything that you need. So I talked about the 57,000. That's just a general focus, I guess, is the way I would put it. I think I said earlier, 95% of the returns we prepare fall into that category, but we do higher income returns as well. We do all of the filing statuses. So filing statuses is reports to the IRS what your marital situation is, or if you're head of household, that you have a dependent living with you, or you're single. And each of those has a different set of rules regarding the amount of the standard deduction and the tax rates that you're subject to. And so we'll always look for the filing status that maximizes your refund or minimizes your tax, however you like to look at it. But most people like to maximize their refund. The only one that we do not prepare is married filing separate. And that generally comes about when you've been married, for example, and you're separated now and you want to file separate income tax returns. We cannot do that, and that's because there are all kinds of special rules that we're just not trained for, and we rarely see those, so can't do that for you, sorry. Schedule C is a situation where you have a business, and you may have a business and not even know it. If you sell items on eBay throughout the year, you'll get a 1099 from them saying you had sales of $10,000 or something like that. That's a business, and then you're allowed to report expenses against that business income. So we can do those to some of those, and some of the things to remember on those businesses as far as what we can handle is that mostly we do service businesses. So that would mean that you don't sell any products, you provide a service. So you might have a landscaping business or some kind of construction work that you do, and you're paid for your services. We can handle those. We can't do anything where there's inventory. And also, if there's a loss, we are not allowed to do those tax returns as well. So in summary, it's service businesses that we can do. If you are receiving income from a pension or an individual retirement account, or maybe even an annuity, that's fine. We can report those on your tax return, and that's considered in scope, meaning we can do it. Social Security and disability income, yes, we do that too. So that covers a lot of people that covers a lot of ground. Also, capital gains and losses, we can report those, but only for sales of stock, mutual funds, and sale of your personal residence. So if you sold anything else, we're not the place to come. But mostly what we see is sales of stock, something like that, or a mutual fund. So we do handle credits, and Darlene is going to talk about that in a few minutes, but there's the child and dependent care credit. The earned income credit is a big one, and she's going to spend some time on that for you because it's huge. And on that note, I was just reading that the earned income tax credit in LA County, there was a study done, and that study showed that over $640,000 of earned income credits were not claimed by eligible taxpayers because they didn't know they qualified. And so, you may have been doing your tax return yourself, but this is an option, an alternative that's free, where we definitely will make sure if you qualify for that credit, you will get it. So that's a reason to look into us. Gambling winnings we can cover. If you get what's called a K1, which means you're an owner, a part owner, or of a partnership or an S corporation, a business, in other words, we can do your individual return and include the K1 from your partnership or LLC or S corporation. Unemployment compensation's a big issue this year. A lot of us have been laid off, and because of the health issues that are going on, and unemployment has been paid, and there are issues related to that Darlena will talk about soon here. But we can handle that as well. So if you have unemployment compensation, we're the ones for you. Health savings account, we don't see too many of these, but these are accounts established to cover qualifying medical expenses, and you actually get a deduction for putting money into it. And then when you take money out, if you use it for qualifying medical expenses, it's not taxable. So when you put the money in, it's invested in something and grows tax-free. And when you take it out, no tax on it. So it's a great concept to look into. It could be very helpful for you for health issues. We also do report IRA contributions and deductions, a way to save for retirement. And that is something you might want to look into as well. It certainly will help you in retirement, but we handle that. The tuition and fees deduction, we usually see that in terms of the student tax returns that we file, but sometimes an adult that's working is back in school to get additional training, and we'll definitely find every deduction that we can for you, and that includes the tuition and fees deduction. Now, the credit for child and dependent care expenses, you have to be working to claim that, but we will do that for you as well. And if you're married, both spouses have to be working to get that. But again, that's something that we automatically look for, because what we're trying to do is make sure that every return we do, we've maximized the refund. And that means looking into every possible credit that's available. So we will do that. Sometimes there's confusion on the standard deduction or itemized deductions, and people save all their receipts and then we never use them, right? That's because the tax law allows you to claim the higher of the standard deduction or the total of your itemized deduction. So the standard deduction is amount that's available to every taxpayer, and it's a different amount for based on your filing status. And I think Darlena will cover that shortly, but so what we do is we look at how much your standard deduction is based on your filing status, and then if you've given us your receipts for itemized deductions, we consider all of those, and then we'll take the higher of the two amounts, meaning you'll get a larger deduction. And again, that will maximize your refund. But I do want to say on this issue that very few of the returns we prepare have higher itemized deductions than the standard deduction. And that's because the standard deduction was pretty much doubled with the 2017 Tax Act. So as a result, a lot of tax filers do not itemize anymore. And it doesn't mean they're losing anything. They're actually gaining something. They get a higher standard deduction than the total of their itemized, and they don't have to worry about collecting receipts anymore. So it's good all around. We also do the foreign student returns, and this is kind of a unique situation. So if you're a student, foreign student, please do contact us and we can help you out with your return. And this last point is really important because I've only hit some of the high points of what's an in-scope tax return. So even if something I said sounds like we cannot do your return, you want to check with the VITA site and make sure. This is a free service to you, and it will result in maximizing your refund. So be sure and check with your VITA sites on this. And I think Darlena is going to come in now and help you out. Darlena?
Hello, hi. So, do I have to file? Well, not everyone needs to file a tax return. Generally, you have to file if your income is higher than the standard deduction. And I think John explained a little bit about the standard deduction. every year the IRS will release the amount of the standard deduction, and it usually is about the same amount. And for this year, the standard deduction for single is $12,400, and for married filing joint is $24,800, and for head of households is $18,650. And you also get an additional of $1,300 if you are 65 or older or blind. So if your income is higher than the standard deduction, then you have to file your tax return. And if you are a dependent of another taxpayer, you only need to file if your unearned income is over 1,100 and your gross income is the largest of 1,100, or your earned income plus the $350. And this is important, and you must file if you receive income of more than $400 by check or cash. So this is what we call as the self-employment income. And why should you file even if you're not required to? Well, the benefit is to get your refund back and to prevent from other people using your information to file a return. The earlier you file, the less likely that other people will have success stealing your information. We encourage everyone to file. It is free, and if you qualify to file with VITA program, you might get a refund if you withheld income tax from your work, pension, your social security, and any other sources of income. Or you probably made payments applying for the 2020 tax year. And remember, you are required to file a state tax return. Even if you have no income, you still should file to prevent tax identity theft and to have it as a financial records if you need to apply for anything. Plus, you might also and most likely will qualify for the tax credit that the government established to assist the taxpayers, such as the EITC, which is the Earned Income Tax Credit, the Child Tax Credit, the American Opportunity Credit, the Premium Tax Credit, and this year the Recovery Rebate Credit. I think this is the stimulus check, but I think this will have you guys will have a lot of question on. So what are these tax credits? The EITC credit. Okay, so the EITC is a tax credit to help low to moderate income taxpayers get a tax break. And if you qualify, you can use the credit to reduce the taxes you owe, and it may increase your refund. To qualify, the amount of income you earn must be less than $56,844, and you could receive up to $6,600. But the amount depends on your filing status, whether you are single or married, whether you have no children or the number of children you have, and the amount of income that you earn. We don't calculate the earned income for the earned income tax credit. And I just want to put a note here that you won't be qualified for the earned income tax credit if you are married filing separately. So if you are married, if you file as married filing separately, you won't qualify for the earned income tax credit. And this is new for 2020. For this year, for this tax year, if your earned income was higher in 2019 than in 2020, then you can use the 2019 amount to figure out your EITC, which is the earned income tax credit for 2020, because the higher the earned income tax credit, it gives you more credit, more refund. So this is just a temporary relief. It's provided through the Taxpayer Certainty and Disaster Tax Relief Act of 2020. The American Opportunity Tax Credit is a credit for qualified education expenses paid for an eligible student for the first 4 years of higher education. You can get a maximum annual credit of $2,500 per eligible student. So that means you can have more than one eligible student on a tax return. If the credit brings down the amount of the amount of tax you owe to zero, you can have 40% of any remaining amount of the credit up to 1,000 refunded to you. And again, to qualify, you must be pursuing your first 4 year of higher education, and you must have never claimed this credit before. And this credit was used to be known as the Hope Credit, and you only have 4 years to claim this credit. And also, you must be enrolled in the school at least half time. The special situations. The stimulus checks were calculated based on your 2019 or 2018 tax return. And if you did not receive payment or were partially given to you, do not worry. You will get to claim the payment when you file your 2020 tax return. And it is called the recovery rebate credit. A payment made to someone who died before receiving the payment should be returned to the IRS. For payments made to joint filers with the deceased spouse who died before receiving the payment, return the decedent's portion of the payment. And this amount will be $1,200. Yeah, $1,200 unless your adjusted gross income exceeded $150,000. And if you are an ITIN holder, you only get the second stimulus checks of $600. You don't get the first one. And this is rare, but there are people who receive the notice of CP21C from the IRS. What the IRS website stated is to disregard this notice because it is not accurate. This is just to, I think the IRS was saying that because of the credit they have to repay back and it's applying for a different year. So do not, so just if you receive the notice, it's called the notice CP21C, and just disregard that. And I know a lot of people will ask the questions, are the stimulus checks taxable? The stimulus checks are not taxable, but the unemployment benefits do. So remember, the unemployment payment is always taxable to the federal. As a result of the CARES Act, you may claim up to $300 deduction if you donated cash to a qualified charitable organization when you claim standard deduction on your tax return. Before, you only get to deduct the donation only if you itemize. But this year, if you use standard deduction, you are allowed to deduct $300 if you donated cash to a nonprofit org.
Okay, so I'm back again, and I guess I got this slide because this is the bad news we have for you. On January 15th, the IRS notified everyone that the tax filing season is delayed, and this does not mean you can't get your documents in and get everything ready to go, but the IRS will not accept e-filed or paper returns until February 12th. And I want to say again, this doesn't mean you should not get your information together and come to one of the sites that we'll talk about shortly to get the process going. But it does mean this, and this is the bad news. Refunds are going to be later this year. We expect the earliest refunds to come out in the middle of March. So that's another reason to come in and get your taxes started now so that the return can be ready to e-file on that first day the IRS is accepting them. So sorry about that news, but better to tell you now, right? So at the opening, I said that this is an unusual season. I'm sure you're not surprised by that. In prior years, we've always at Cal State Los Angeles had an on-campus place for you to come, and then at various library sites, we've had volunteers there to help you with your taxes, get them filed. We are in a unique situation now, and the Cal State Los Angeles, in fact, all the CSUs are not allowed to have any meetings with anyone, really. We're virtual for instruction and virtual for this VITA season. And so we've worked on how to get around that so that we can still provide this great benefit that helps the community and gets money back into the pockets of the community. And so we have two ways this will be done. And for Cal State LA, the number 2 here is the primary method for us. Northridge, I believe, number 1 is the primary method, but we'll let Darlena talk about that. So the first method is a system where the taxpayer must be able to scan documents and meet with us on Zoom. And so then if you can do that, you can transmit your documents to us and have a meeting where we do the interview and we verify your identification and ask all the questions, all of that, and get your taxes filed for you. And I can tell you right now, Northridge is ahead of us on this one. We are still at Cal State Los Angeles, still trying to find a good system for this. So just keep that in mind. For the second way we're doing it, we have partnered with various nonprofit groups around the Los Angeles County area, and those partner nonprofit organizations will conduct the interviews and scan your documents to us. So we prepare the returns at Cal State Los Angeles or Northridge, but the documents and the document scanning and the interviews are conducted by these other organizations, and we'll put those up for you in just a minute here. But they do all of that part where they meet safely with you and do the interview, scan your documents. So 2 ways to do it. And again, we will get the return information from them. We'll prepare it and send it back to the sites. And then those sites will meet with the taxpayer so the taxpayer can review the tax return. And if it looks okay, the taxpayer will sign the approval to e-file, and then the return, federal and California, will be e-filed for you. So how we're handling it at Cal State Los Angeles, and this is the second method where we have these interview sites or intake sites. And if you take a look at this flow chart, step 1 and step 5 take place at the interview sites. So the first thing that happens is you will call or go on the internet and make an appointment at one of the various intake sites. You'll go to your appointment. They'll conduct the interview with you, and there's a form they fill out with all the your answers to the interview questions. They'll scan the documents and then email them to Cal State Los Angeles, where we will assign it to a certified volunteer. The certified volunteer will then review the information that was sent, including the interview questions, and then prepare the tax return. Once the tax return is completed, and this is in step 3, they'll notify the managers at Cal State Los Angeles, and that's what I am, one of the managers. I'm running the program, but I'm one of the managers. And the manager then will assign the return for quality review. So someone else will check every item and make sure that it's been input correctly and that it's complete. Then the manager will take a look at it. And once we are satisfied that it's been done accurately and completely, we will notify the intake sites, and then the taxpayer, will return to the intake site and review the return with the person there. And then, assuming it looks good, you will sign the e-file approval, and we'll e-file the tax returns for you. So let's see. So Darlene is going to tell us about how the process works at Northridge, and it is a little different.
At Northridge, it's very simple. to understand how the workflow works at CSUN VITA, you just need to know the step one. That's it, which is making an appointment. So after making the appointment, we give you a step-by-step instruction, and that's all you need to do. And it just go onto the website, and the website will have just a button that says make an appointment, and then there's an instruction from there. And however, I wanted to point out that these steps that your tax return will be reviewed multiple times to make sure that we have prepared your return accurately. And there are the documents that you need to bring with you or have it to your side when you do the tax return with VITA. The document is listed on the next slide, but the document that you need to have are your photo ID of you and your spouse, the social security costs and birthdays of everyone on your tax return. Actually, John, can you yes, there you go. And then an ITIN assignment letter if you are an ITIN holder. And if you are applying for an ITIN, you need to have a valid passport, which means it's not expired, or a combination of two documents, one document to prove your foreign status and another document to prove your identity. And any of the documents that you have from your wages and earning statements from all sources of income, such as the W-2, the 1099. This year you have the NEC, which is the non-employee compensation, and the 1099 miscellaneous, and it's the interest, the dividend income, and also the health insurance certificate. I think that is the 1095A or the B, 1095A, B, and C. Okay. And for the remote interview sites, I put the remote interview site here just in case if anything changes. But currently, the remote sites are closed until further notice. CSUN VITA will be virtually doing tax this year. Everything will be done online. So please go to our website or search CSUN VITA on the search engine. It will direct to our page and to schedule your appointment. We also have the link on one of the slides above. And we do text appointment now. We're actually open on Monday, January 25th.
Okay, and then Cal State Los Angeles, this is our primary method of handling the tax returns this year. So these sites that are listed are kind of surrounding the campus area. So we're hoping that if you've used Cal State Los Angeles in the past or one of the libraries, that you can find one of these that is close to you. So we have All Peoples and the Barrio Action Youth and Family Center in Brizzy and El Nido. Now in each of those, there's a certified VITA volunteer there that will conduct the interview and scan your documents to us, and we'll prepare the tax returns and send back to them. The Young and Healthy is a partnership with Day One, both great nonprofit organizations, and they serve only taxpayers that live in Altadena or Pasadena. So if you're in that area, this is a good place to go. And it's handled a little bit differently there. What we're doing with them, with Young and Healthy, is we are conducting the interviews ourselves. So when you, as a taxpayer, go to Young and Healthy, they establish a Zoom link with us at Cal State Los Angeles. One of our certified volunteers will do the interview with you. And then at Young and Healthy, they'll help you scan your documents, and those will be uploaded into our tax software. And by the way, that's a secure document transfer service that's included. It's actually authorized by the IRS, so we're very confident in it. So I think this will work well for us. Like I said earlier, we aren't really too far along on the direct link through our website. Cal State Northridge is pretty far ahead of us on that one, but we're getting there. We're hoping to be there soon. So these sites will be on the Cal State Los Angeles VITA website probably next week. I've had a bit of a delay getting the website updated, but you should be able to find these there. And of course, they're listed here for you to look at. Now, some of these you can book without even calling. These ones that say you can book me, there's 3 of them there, the Barrio Action and the Brezzi Foundation and El Nido. You can just go online and book your appointment. And I just want to say one more time, just because the IRS cannot accept returns until February 12th, doesn't mean you should wait. If you go in now, get your appointment early and get everything in, we'll get your return filed right away when the IRS is accepting returns. So that will increase the speed with which you get your tax refund. And like I also said earlier, that's probably going to be in mid-March. One other thing I want to say about Cal State LA, that we have quite an array of languages that we have. So if you are, if your primary language is not English, we also have people that are certified volunteers that speak Spanish, they speak Armenian, Persian, Korean, Mandarin, and Chinese. So we cover a lot of ground on that. So keep that in mind. So don't hesitate to come to us if you have any language issues that you're worried about. We can handle that as well. Okay, so that's kind of our summary on what's going on, but we're hoping you have some questions that we can handle for you. We're happy to take any questions and answer them to the best of our abilities.
Yes. Hi, I'm back. Okay, so we've been getting questions throughout the program, so I'm just jotting them down. I know some of these we've already covered. There was a patron that was asking, what if, I'm poor, I haven't filed taxes in years, but want to, we said that, what if, if they haven't done it in years, is it?
Yeah, we can handle that, and we can file prior year tax returns. And just, I've done this before because I've practiced as a CPA for 30 years, so I'm kind of familiar with it. Once you get back into the system, you're likely to get notices for those missing years because the statute never runs on those. But you do need to get back into the system, and this is a free way to do it. I just want to point out that you will hear from the IRS and probably the state of California regarding those missing tax returns.
Okay. So many questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we had a question. When will VITA be dispatching their volunteers to our taxes? I live in the San Fernando Valley. We're not, you guys have already, you're not going to. Oh, there we go. Questions up there.
So you want that one, Darlena?
When will VITA be dispatched to do our taxes? I live in San Fernando Valley. Actually, I'm not. Well, for CSUN, I'm not sure of the other VITA program, but I know CSUN VITA program, we already dispatching our volunteers starting January 25th. So this week, Monday, this week already.
Right, and for Cal State Los Angeles, we're not really, by dispatching, I think you mean sending them out or something. We're not doing that this year, but those sites that I went through, those other nonprofit organizations, they're doing interviews right now. So they are gathering information. So there's no reason to wait. The tax returns will not be filed, obviously, until February 12th or after. So get in early, get it done.
Okay. So we had another question. We had questions about different stimulus checks. Stimulus payments accounted for? Are they income? They're not. They're given by the government.
Yeah, so the stimulus checks are not taxable, and they are just the money that the government give it to you. Consider it just grant. for you free money for you to use. You don't have to report the stimulus payments.
And that's a really good question because it does come from the government, but so does unemployment, right? And that's taxable. So it really is a good question. People worry about it, but what you want to do is make sure you bring in how much you received with your tax information, because if you didn't get what you're due, and you may or may not know that, we're going to check it and make sure you got everything you were supposed to. And if you're short, you'll get a credit for that on your tax return. So we'll increase your refund. And this is the best part. If you got more than you should have, you don't have to pay it back. It's really cool. So good news all the way around. So bring that information in. Let's make sure you got what you asked for.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Next question. So last year, AARP did my taxes for me. That you see the question. They want to know if they qualify for the program this year.
Yeah, I've done returns with residuals, and there can be 30, 40 W-2. I don't know what our limit. I don't see anything in the scope about too many W-2s. So I think we can do them. Darlena, you haven't had any experience with that either, have you?
No, but as long as if I think it's as long as follow it's below the $57,000, then I think they qualify,
Right.
and or they don't have a loss on business. So
yeah, as far as I can see, we use the IRS sanctioned software. It's called TaxSlayer, and it just allows you to click the button to add another input area for a new W-2. So I don't think there's any restriction on that.
Okay. The next questions. Do we have to file unemployment money we received? I think you already.
That's all right. That is fine. This tax stuff is really complicated. Lots of rules. And if someone asks the question, it means others need to hear it again, even if we mentioned it. So I think it's really good to ask anything that's on your mind. And Darlena covered it. That's right. And it's kind of unfortunate because this was such a terrible year. It was very difficult. And then what made a lot of people allowed them to live through it is getting unemployment. And now you find out it's taxable, and that's not good. And if you're worried about the tax on it, not filing isn't going to help you because the IRS has records of the unemployment income. And what'll happen is if you don't file it, you'll have a lot of penalties and interest and still owe the tax on it. So even if you can't pay any tax, you should file your return because that gets rid of the failure to file penalty. That's pretty significant penalty. So yes, it's taxable, and maybe they'll change that. There was one year where I think it's been 8 or 10 years ago where they actually made a special provision that unemployment income was not taxable. And I think this is a good year to do that again, but we haven't seen anything yet about that.
Okay, so there's another, let's see, we had another question. I believe Darlena answered it. It was, why don't you do non-cash charitable deductions? And I think she just answered in the chat. Non-cash donation, yeah. Yes, there we go. Okay,
right.
So it's applied to the standard deduction.
Yeah, it's just that special allowance for the $300 is for people that do not itemize. And the only way the IRS is allowing it is if it's a cash donation. But we handle itemized deductions as well.
Okay, and then Richard, I mean, we've covered this, but our VITA services this year doing remotely, in person, drop-off, pickup options. I mean, you guys went through that.
Well, yeah, we do differ though. Northridge has a different system than Cal State Los Angeles. So do you want to describe Northridge just briefly, Darlene?
Yeah, Northridge is doing online this year only. Until I don't know if it's changed, but it's seem that it's not going to be. So everything is virtual for Northridge.
And so you go to your website, I believe, to
Go to
make
the
an
web, yeah, go
appointment.
to the
Right.
website, click the appointment, and then there will be the direction. So you show you receive a Zoom link, and on the Zoom, like when you just show up to your appointment, and then there will be the VITA volunteers show you step by step what you do, and they do the breakout room. And you just need to show up, and everything will the VITA volunteers will instruct
Right.
you what to
And
do.
it's okay if I ask questions too, right? So,
Sure,
so
yes.
those sites that we have in the PowerPoint slides for Northridge, are those actually open yet?
No, they are not. So
Okay.
it's still it's closed until further notice. So
Right.
CSUN is doing remote doing the virtual, the
Right.
Zoom virtual. Yeah.
And for Los Angeles, we're taking for Cal State Los Angeles, we have a different approach. We have these other sites, the ones that were listed in the Los Angeles area, those nonprofit organizations are actually meeting with the taxpayers. So if you don't have the ability to scan your documents or do a Zoom meeting, that's probably the way to go, is to go to one of those sites. I'm not trying to steal your clients or anything. It's just a different approach. So you can take your tax documents to one of the sites on the in the slides and do the interview there, and then come back and pick up your, review your tax return and pick it up. So we've really, between Northridge and Los Angeles, we've covered, I think, everyone. I think it's a nice arrangement.
Okay, so are we able to start setting up appointments? If so, how can we do that? And you said January, and you guys have the dates
Yes,
on
Monday, January 25th for CSUN.
Right.
We already started the appointment.
And for Cal State Los Angeles, the appointments are being handled by those other nonprofit organizations, and they're already doing them. So there's no delay here. So you go to either the website, if it said book me, I believe was the last part of it, or you can call with the number that was provided and make the appointment there. And I keep saying that, but I wouldn't wait. I would do it right away, because they're doing appointments right now.
Okay, thank you. So Richard has another question. Are other agencies that offer VITA volunteer services following the same procedures that these two universities are doing? So, I mean, I know on my end, but do you guys have other insight?
Yeah, I have a little. I've talked to a few other schools, and it reminds me of the wild, wild west right now. Everyone's doing something different. You've got two universities represented here, and we're really doing completely different things. Everyone's trying to find a way to get these free services to the community, and we're doing whichever path we find. For Los Angeles, we've made arrangements fairly early with these other organizations, and it was wonderful. It kind of saved our VITA season, and so we've been pushing that way. And for Northridge, it looks like they were lucky enough to get their web arranged so they can do it through their website. So I've talked to a couple other schools. Everyone has a different arrangement.
Yeah, I know we're going to be having a tax webpage where our digital content team is updating everything now. I mean, it should be live any time now. And that's going to have more information. I know CSULB and Cal State Long Beach and UCLA, they're of course all virtual as well. And there are differences, but you click on the link for appointments, but yeah, they're all doing it a little bit differently, but they are also doing VITA again this year. And yeah, we're going to have more information on our website soon. So let's go to the next question. Okay, so this is a CSUN question. So do documents need to be scanned for the Zoom meeting at CSUN?
Actually, no. At first, I thought it would be, but I already double checked, so the document don't need to be scanned at all. And then So what from my understanding is that you can hold your documents up or take a pictures with your in front of the camera. But however, like when you go to Zoom, the volunteers who's in taking all the information, they will instruct you what to do, and they let you know what information that you will need after the interview.
Okay. Okay. Professor Cooper, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm going to steal that idea.
Yeah.
I think that's great because I've been trying to get secure document transfer service for people that can scan their own documents, but I think that's a great idea, Darlena. So probably put that on our website too and see if we can. We just want to reach as many people as possible. So every way possible, we're going to explore.
And then at the end, you will receive your tax return in the email, and they will have a chance to check the tax return and send back the email to confirm to authorize VITA program to e-file their tax return. But
Is that through regular email, or are you doing a HIPAA?
No, it's HIPAA. It's everything is HIPAA Zoom, and our link is encrypted.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so we have another question. If I filed my taxes last year with you guys, do I still need to provide a copy of IDs? Social Security, yes, if the question's updated, numbers, and my husband as well as dependents. So basically they filed with you guys already, so they want to know if they have to do everything.
Yes. So every time they need to do the tax, we need to verify it's them. We just want to make sure that we're doing the tax that the person in front of us we are engaging to. Yes, you do have to bring all the documents to verify that it's you that we're doing the tax return for.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is an IRS requirement. I mean, the person asking this question probably thinks like I do, that it's just common sense that, well, if we did yours last year and we verified everything, why do we have to do it this year? But because this is in partnership with the IRS and they control what we do and we're certified through them, we're required every year to do the same process. So I apologize for that. But at the same time, it avoids us preparing someone who's pretending to be you, preparing their tax return and using your information. So we're stuck with that. It's, I think, a small inconvenience for the safety that comes with it.
Okay. They asked, are tax returns still due on April 15th?
As of right now, yes.
Yeah.
As of right now, yes.
Okay. And if it is extended, I mean, I guess you'll know closer to.
If it's extended. Okay. If it's extended, yes, the government will announce. For sure, they will announce. Yeah.
Okay. I have another question. How about K1s from an inherited IRA?
So you don't normally get K1s from an inherited IRA, but if the IRA has investments in it, in S corps or partnerships or LLCs, that's how it would work. The K1.
No, I think
maybe it's not a K1.
If there's investment, I think the amount of 3,000 something, they're not qualified.
Right. This one. So you have an inherited IRA. It's not a K1 that comes from that, as I recall, but this is one I think you should check with the VITA site and just to make sure, because that's an unusual one. Typically, the IRA distributions are reported on a 1099, I believe it is. And so a K1's an odd thing to come out of there.
Okay. Okay. And then someone said they just visited the websites you gave us for booking appointments. There we go. And it's saying, they want to know if they still qualify. They didn't file taxes last year.
So that must be your website, Darlena, I believe.
No, the LA or CSUN?
It might be on our website. I mean, I can answer the question. Most people whose returns we prepare do not have their prior year return. We ask for it because it often gives us really great information to make sure we're not missing something. So if we have your prior year return, we can look at it and say, oh, last year you donated to this organization, and we'll ask about it, and then you'll go, oh, I forgot to bring that in. And so it's really helpful. It's kind of a roadmap to what to expect in the current year. But you don't have to have it. If you don't have it, we will prepare your current year return without it. Those document request lists are always what I refer to as a wish list. We wish you would bring all of that in, but if you can't, you can't.
Okay, and then are you only filing tax returns for the 57? I guess it's what if you make up like a little bit more than that? Is that?
Well, for Cal State Los Angeles, we go over that amount. It depends on the situation and what are their types of income. But I mean, if you have more W-2 wages than that and you're a single parent with 3 kids, yeah, we're going to do your return. So just because it's, we have this limitation or target, I should say, in the slides, doesn't mean that's all we do. So again, check with the website, or check with the VITA site, I mean.
Okay, so we're almost running out of time. The last few questions, let's see. Okay, even if you file e-file returns, can you completed returns be printed and mailed to me?
Yes, that's an easy answer. They can, because the e-file just goes to the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board. We are required to give you a copy. Some of those, a lot of them will be emailed this year, and I don't know how many yet, but I would expect a lot will be printed and mailed as well.
Okay, so let's see. Where can we get information or paperwork to bring in for the stimulus payments?
I think this is a form. I think it's 1444. I think it's a letter. It says that you receive this amount, but if you don't have that letter and you receive the amount under recovery rebate credit, you said how much amount that you receive, and I mean, if you give out incorrect amount, then it's going to be rejected. So if you don't have that paper, you can always tell the preparer how much you receive and so to claim it under recovery rebate credit.
There may be an IRS assist here as well. I know that you can do some things on the IRS.org website, or .gov, I mean. And one of those may be to look up stimulus payments you received. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think it says, where's my stimulus payment?
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so before they used to have the a link for non-filers to claim to put in the information to claim the stimulus, but they took it out. So now with let's say if you lose your stimulus check or stolen, then you can always go to where can I think it's where's my stimulus payment or something like that. Just go on the IRS website and they have that. But I mean, if the tax season is coming, I mean, for me, I don't recommend it, just because the IRS has to verify that the check is not cashed until they adjust they reissue again. So the best way is just to do the 2020 tax return and claim it under recovery rebate credit.
Okay. I know we're at 1 o'clock. I'm going to see if we can ask a few more questions before we get cut off. So really quickly, let's see what I missed. I'm asking for this. Should we have taxes deducted from unemployment?
You mean withheld?
Yes.
Yeah.
Withheld. Well, you can. I always advise my clients just to click on that box, they just would help. And usually they would hold 10% of the unemployment. But if you didn't, then you just have to pay it back at the end of the tax year, which is when you file your tax return.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Of course, it's too late for 2020. If you receive 10 months of unemployment, there's nothing to do now except file your tax return and find out how much you owe, which may not be as much as you think. Usually the unknown is what is fearful for people. So getting the actual amount you owe is the best idea. But don't wait to file, because the failure to file your tax return penalty is really very significant amount of money. So you want to file even if you can't pay your taxes. Make sure you file.
Yeah, we have actually a display now of the tax website on our homepage. So it is live now, so people can go there for more information on all sorts of things for filing and other VITA services and everything. Just a few more quick things. We have one question. I'm asking this for my mother. She hasn't filed for 3 consecutive years. Is she able to get VITA services if she doesn't quite meet the other stipulations?
Yeah, she's definitely. If you're a non-filer, as long as you're in the scope of what returns we prepare, that's fine. And she may fall into that group that isn't required to file, but by filing, she'll appear in the IRS database, and then she'll get the stimulus checks and whatever credits she's due. So it kind of makes sense to do it.
Okay. And then, so for CSUN, everything's all online, right? I guess
Yes.
what everything's discussed. And then for CSULA is
updated. Yeah, it's not all of our student volunteers and our managers like me are virtual, so we never meet with anyone. But these other nonprofit organizations that I listed earlier have graciously agreed to arrange a very safe meeting with the taxpayer to come in and do the interviews. So they'll have, all the precautions, the social distancing and the plastic screen and all of that. So that's the place to go, one of those, if you want to just bring your documents in and have your taxes done.
Okay. One more question, Richard. Does VITA help with file extensions if they don't have all their information ready?
I think so. We can have file extension, but in terms of the tax return, we close on the April 15th. So if you file after April 15th, I don't think VITA has the service after April 15th.
Right. We don't either. We can file the extension, but we close down at April 15 as well. Keep in mind that extension is only an extension to file. It's not an extension to pay your tax. So it won't even count if you, for example, you had unemployment the whole year and you didn't have any withholding and you're worried about how much you owe. You file an extension and you say you don't owe anything because you don't want to bring it up. It's not a valid extension. So you want to file your tax return and not pay the taxes if that's the situation. Then you're just charged interest on it, and the interest isn't too bad right now. That's much better than interest and penalties. So do file your tax return. The extension doesn't delay the time you have to pay.
Okay. And then once my tax return is ready, if you owe money, can you schedule the day of the payment is made, or?
You're provided with a voucher that you can mail in the payment when you want to make it. So it's under your control. Or you can arrange to have it taken out of your bank account, which I don't like very much. I'd rather see you take the little voucher coupon and write a check, mail it into the IRS into California.
But so you can also schedule a date for the IRS to withdraw from your bank too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And can you help taxpayers who have to file with the taxpayer protection PIN because they were they had ID theft? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
More and more taxpayers have that, actually. It's really a great idea to avoid identity theft. So yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay. I think, my gosh, we've totally gone over 5 minutes. I think last question. Do you suggest having taxes deducted from unemployment checks?
I do.
Always withhold your, I mean, if you have pension or you have anything, I would just to make sure you withhold money for the taxes. And if you withhold extra, they will refund it back to you. So just to avoid
Right.
balance interest or penalties if you don't pay it back in time to the IRS.
It's always a great day when you get a refund, right? Not such a great day when you owe. So better to withhold.
Okay. I think those are all the questions. Let me see. Okay, the recording is going to still be on our YouTube and Facebook pages for a little bit, and then we're going to see if we can embed it on the tax website because it's a very informative presentation. And I wanted to also thank you guys for coming and presenting with this. It's we learned so much, and I wanted to also let everyone know that please join us next month for America Saves Week, February 22nd to the 26th. We're going to have a week of programs on financial literacy, and we're going to have more information on this updated on our website. And please check out our tax webpage and then contact CSUN and CSUN VITA. And thank you guys, Darlene and Professor Cooper, for presenting with us today. Very informative. I learned a lot.
Great. Thank you very much. We're happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone.